I really hope Katy Keene doesn't predict the future. I can't get it. I can't have a cold storm on my watch currently. Oh, hey everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's on the Tuber. Welcome back. If this is your fifth Katy Keene chapter review, still taking some time because I'm so used to seeing episode reviews, but it's technically chapters. Whatever. Anywho, I before I begin, I apologize. This is a little bit late. I have no legitimate excuse. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX came out on Friday, and I'll just say I kind of played too many hours of it. Plus, on a more serious side, I went to the gym, and my neck, actually, this side was stiff as hell for some reason, so I couldn't do my normal thing to look at the TV. So I was in pain. Plus Pokemon, so that didn't really contribute much. I did watch the episode on Friday because I have work on Thursday, so I can't see the episode live. So I'm a procrastinator a bit, so I tend to push it up till Friday, do the review then. So I'm a little bit late on this. So pardon me if my memory is very more butchered than usual when we get to the recap. But yeah, this chapter was really, really, really good. I feel like this was another chapter that built on top of the last four chapters, specifically not into the whole Katy and KL thing, but more specifically on this core group of friends. Because the one thing you have to realize is that Josie's still new, and this episode did bring up a lot of questions about, yeah, Josie's still new, but you start to see not everything's perfect with the Golden Girls. Not really to speak, and this definitely did heighten up their connections up a more bit, and they all had natural evolutions by the end of this episode. But anyway, so let's get through the very butchered recap because I'm going to forget a lot of things. So we begin with Katy saying we're getting a winter storm in New York City. Thankfully enough, me personally being in New York, we haven't gotten that yet, so very thankful. But my dad always says we're bound to get one eventually, so I'll be bracing for that. Anywho, so they're all indoors. They can't go out clubbing. They can't go out partying. They're stuck indoors. So Katy decides to do an old-fashioned fashion runway, whatever you want to describe it. I literally went on. I was playing Fortnite last night, and me and my friend we were on the creative servers, and it looks like a runway, and I have the terminology there, but I can't freaking remember it right now while I was watching this. Katy's exposing how life is right now, but also apparently she wants to now go to fashion school. Where did that come up in the last four episodes? Not really. I mean, it's logistical to go to a fashion school to learn more about fashion. I knew a couple people that did go to fashion school to enhance their skill set. So I know how that is, but Katy never mentioned it at all in these previous chapters about doing it. I guess again maybe because of all the KO thing going on. I guess it wasn't necessarily important to bring it up in one of these episodes, but I'm just commenting. So from there, yeah. So after the fashion fantasy shot, whatever you want to call it, ends, Katy is very dead set on going to this specific fashion school, but she needs to impress the recruiting board enough that she needs a letter of recommendation from someone very high up in the fashion world. I think Jorge brings up, Jorge brings up an example that Pepper supposedly knows through her connection. Pepper said, no, we're just acquaintances. I can't really ask her, but Katy said, but then they realize, what about Gloria? She could probably write you a recommendation letter. She works at Lacey's. She's the personal shopper. She probably has, some credibility, which she probably does. It's a logistical choice. So Katy decides to go for it. We get a brief snide from Jorge about Josie not paying the TV bill, the cable bill. Josie's excuse is that she doesn't watch TV, plus she's working a lot of hours at her jobs to get her side of the rent going, which is very concerned. Again, here's the thing, full stop right here. I do not understand how rent works in New York. My parents own their home, so I am still living here, so we do things differently. But I'm very well aware how expensive rent is in New York, specifically in that area. But how much should it be? And considering it's split three ways, I mean, Jorge shouldn't really. Well, whatever. Let's move on. But Jorge's like, just like some Marcy or something like that. Josie's confused by the reference, but then they move on. I think they all stay the night in. And the next day, next day everyone's heading off to their jobs. Josie is back at the record store with the original owner. Apparently, he's still working there. I guess they couldn't they didn't want to pay him for the last episode. Who knows? He shows her the basement to find this portable heater because the record shop does not have internal heating. Not surprised. And instead of when they go to the basement, it turns out not to really be a basement. It turns out to be an old recording studio that the owner used to do back in the day. He was also an indie producer, so they used to record songs there, but it hasn't really taken off in the past more recent decades. So it's been morally turned to a storage unit. So Josie's very impressed by it, and she tells him about the deal they have in the last episode that she got $25,000 to get her EP recorded, which is pretty much the equivalent of 4 songs. Again, I don't know how music works. I don't know how that translates to dollars. I guess that's recording times, renting at a studio. I don't know. I really don't know. But Josie said, like, the reason why she hasn't cashed in the check is because the conditional term of getting the check is to pretty much be Alex's girlfriend and keep him on the straight and narrow. So pretty much she's getting bribed to be Alex's girlfriend, which she's not so comfortable with. And yeah, so she's kind of uncertain what to do. And she said, like, I can't talk to this about anyone else because I can't talk about this with Alex because it involves him, and I can't talk about this with the Golden Girls because they don't want. They're still, like I said, they're still in the beginning stages of their friendship. Like, no matter how close they seem or how great they vibe off together, they're still new. This is still the beginnings of a friendship. You can't really be dropping everything at once to someone because you're still in that stage of like forming the actual opinion about someone that you really can't comprehend the person. Yeah, you have to like take time, let it simmer, and I definitely know a lot about that, but still. I think from there, so we go back to Katy. She's convincing to Gloria, hey, I need a recommendation letter. No, she shows her the 3 outfits during the fashion shoot from last night. Gloria says, okay, these are good, but what's the connection here? What's the connection between these 3 dresses? Despite it being Katy designing them. There's no real rhyme or reason for these 3 to be even connected, which makes sense. And Gloria's like, okay, I'll write you the letter on the condition that you design me a personal dress for the gala tomorrow. Which means Katy has to design a A-class runway model dress in less than 24 hours. Well, a little bit more 24 hours. Gloria's being nice there to give her a little bit more time. And yeah, so Katy has this responsibility. Jorge's meanwhile heading off to a gig in the Ginger persona. However, supposedly he had never told his mother about the Ginger persona, so he runs past her in the staircase. He decides to pretend like, oh, I'm not, I don't know, I'm good. Maybe she was visiting someone, and he escapes. I think then we cut back to no. So we go back to Josie for a little bit. Alex comes to visit her, and apparently the whole revelation that Alex and Alexandra used to kind of hook up when they were, well, first of all, turns out, they're not twins. They're just stepbrothers and sisters, and like any Pornhub search, that tends to have some backlash. That tends to have some sort of thing. Like, you got a really good-looking guy and a really good-looking girl. You kind of assume. Again, I know that's not everything. I understand that's not the norm, but come on, just roll with me a little bit. So it apparently leaked to the tabloids, to the newspaper, and since Josie was the last recent person to figure out this revelation, they obviously assume that it's her. It's not a coincidence. But Josie's like, I didn't leak anything. I didn't know anything, but guess who we know who also possibly has a connection to the certain newspaper? That's right, our very own Pepper. But we'll get to that in a second. So we come back to Katy at her job, working with Francois. She's not really focused on her work. I really feel sorry for Francois because he took her in. He's like, hey, you have potential here. You should still work at Lacey's, but Gloria's a bitch. So I'm gonna help you out. And literally the second episode, Gloria's like, you know what? Come on, Katy. Come back here, Katy. You're still useful to me. And so not only has Katy been divided back and forth between the man who practically saved her any sort of career at Lacey's, But also, like, Katie's been going for her own personal dilemma. Like, she can't really be focusing on her job that much with Francois. He's like, okay, go do the thing for Gloria. Go do your thing for Gloria. I really feel sorry for Francois. I really do. But Francois lets Katie go home to go and design the outfit for Gloria. And so I think from this one, all the golden... This is kind of more of like a bottle episode, to be honest. I mean, after the last few episodes, we kind of went out there to the city. We went out to cool places. This episode kind of took a step back and like used the pre-established sets, which on a television show, it does happen. If you don't know what a bottle episode means, it means is when a show is very well aware of its budget. So they tend to like divide the budget. Like, okay, this episode we're going to go to this place, so we need to get this place rented out for the day, or reserve it for filming. And sometimes it's like, okay, we don't have enough money in the budget, so we're going to make this episode a bottle episode. So they use pre-existing sets that they already have. Like they have studio time, so it's like, okay, we'll just spend most of the episode in the studios, which doesn't make anything bad of the episode. It's not a bad thing per se. It's a budget reason. It helps, and sometimes it really helps the story. I mean, I remember this. There's a Breaking Bad episode in season 4. It was just in the... Well, actually, before I mention spoiler for Breaking Bad, you haven't seen it. There was a scene... It was literally... I think it was literally called the bottle episode, because I think there was a budget reasoning going on, so they had to like... Okay, this episode, we're not going outside to Albuquerque. We're literally staying in the soundstage. And it was probably one of the best episodes of the whole season. So I'm not saying a bottle episode is necessarily a bad thing just because it's produced cheap. It's just that they have to scale back a little bit. And most of the rest of the episode take place in the apartment. So the Golden Girls are reuniting, and Katie tells Jorge, hey, I got that letter, but I have to make Gloria a dress by tomorrow night, and I can work on this dress that you also asked me to do conveniently for that same day, so I got to do this dress for her because this is my future. Jorge's a little bit bummed out. And then Josie comes back in, also being let go early from work because of the conditions outside. And Josie tells them, hey, this got leaked. I only told you 3 about what happened with the Cabots. Katie and Jorge deny responsibility, but Josie's immediately going to Pepper because, like, hey, she works at this news outlet. Who do you think leaked it? And it makes sense. It obviously makes sense. It's perfectly logistical, assumptioning. And then Pepper shows up conveniently, all the unwiser that, this has been leaked. And Josie they all confront her on this. Pepper's denying everything, like, hey, listen, I didn't do this, I would never do this to my girls. Katie's like, you know what, I'm gonna take a step back. I gotta work on this dress. I'll see you guys later. So she kind of closes it off, kind of leaves the 3 of them alone. And I think from there, so Katie's trying to design. It's not really working out. She decides, I'm gonna go to the bathtub to get some inspired drawing. Yeah, I don't know how that really works out. Whatever. Inspiration, like you're drawing paper when you're in the bathtub. I don't understand how that creative process works. I mean, again, I know some people are weird on that. Some people have their own specific styles. I get that. Just for me, it just doesn't make sense. So from there, where do we go from here? Did we go to the Jorge plot, or did we go to the... Oh, no. Yeah, so Jorge sends off Pepper to the bodega to kind of get some food because they got nothing in the apartment. They have a ramen packet. Which Josie conveniently eats in like later in the scene. So it's like she just took all the food. So that's another example of New York living. So it's like you got nothing in the fridge. And the one good thing about horror, which we saw in the last episode, the bodega, like his parents actually brings up newly expired food, so it was free food that they have to eat like right away, which is convenient sometimes. So Pepper's out down there. I think Josie and Jorge are doing something. I don't know what they were talking about specifically. I think Jorge was trying to finish a task he had with Katie on his own, but Katie's still not being responsive. But Pepper shows up. She realizes, hey, listen, this is what's going on, but she doesn't know anything about the whole... Jorge asked her, Pepper, to can you check on food, and also can you check if my mom knows anything about the ginger persona, which she doesn't, but she also brings up homemade empanadas. Not a big fan of empanadas for me, personally. I mean, I respect empanadas, I'll eat one, but I'm not really a big fan of them. Yes, I'm a very weird Hispanic, so deal with it. So I think from there, Jorge gets a little fed up, like, hey, listen, sewing shouldn't be that hard. I mean, I can do this easily. Jorge, rule number 1, don't touch another person's property. You don't. Like, no. Jorge, no, I understand this is your dress, but she also has another thing to do, so don't even think about it. And spoilers, guess what happens? The fucking sewing machine breaks. And then Katy comes in. She's not happy at all whatsoever. Obviously speaking, she gets mad at Jorge, and she just kicks everyone out. She her first argumental point was that I have this thing due tomorrow for my future, and you just destroyed the thing I needed to make this happen, to make it easier. So she kicks them all out. She locks the door. She comes to vent off on her own, and Jorge is very much sad. He's like, oh, I feel horrible. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna take all the tips, all the money I got from Marcy's. I forgot the name of the fucking store. I forgot the name of the goddamn bar again. I'm gonna go out to the sewing store. I'm gonna get a new sewing machine for her. I'll be back. I'm gonna brave the winter because this is Katy. I gotta do this for her. Pepper decides to go consolate Katy, kind of calm her down. Katy's a little bit more calm now, but she's still a little angry because she's more focused on the dress right now. She's like, I have sewed hundreds of clothes for Jorge, and the one time I need the machine for myself, he gets so mad about it. Which, again, another valid point. And Katy is very much fed up because I have no other fabrics for the house, for the dress. Everything's closed. And I need the right fabric. She looks at the dress that she was going to make for Jorge for tomorrow, and she's like, fuck it. I mean, I need the dress. I need this to happen right now. Jorge can wait. So she starts ripping off the dress. I'm like, oh my God, Jesus, damn, Katy's going savage. Meanwhile, I think this is where Josie makes the call to the hotel to kind of question, because Josie asks, hey Pepper, why aren't you at the hotel? It's a very high luxury hotel with a better heating system than ours. Why aren't we there instead of in the apartment? All legitimate question, but they don't know Pepper's true condition. And that's where Josie finds out that Pepper's not only been blacklisted and also not at the hotel, but she also owes a lot of money and the police are on her. So it's not looking good for Pepper right now, and Josie kind of figures that out on her own. I think this is also Pepper just conveniently comes in and, Pepper's doing the natural denial thing where it's like, why are you looking at me? Why are you not, trusting in me? Why? Instead of actually admitting to the problem, she's just trying to put the blame on Josie. Yeah, and I think from there, Jorge returns from the sewing shop. It's closed from the storm, so he couldn't get at everything, but he's frozen as hell, and they're trying to cheer Katy up, and they decide, you know what? There is an old-fashioned way to always solve our problems. Let's break into song. Which I'm like, you know what? I'm down. This is a much better song than last week. I'm being honest. I'm going there. This was a much better song. It vibed well. This actually felt authentic. So it's like we saw the four, dancing, kind of, expressing their freedoms. Kind of a weird thing because the way the song started, I thought this was a flashback, considering the fact that it just felt like, why would Katy be a little bit in a different position? I don't know. I'm thinking weirdly enough. And I think from there, yeah. So but Katy's energetic, but she also has to finish this dress. She has to sew it by hand. She needs to get this done, and that's where Jorge figures out that. I think this is where all the secrets come out. That Pepper. No, I don't think they revealed that yet. So Pepper and Josie have another argument about the whole newspaper thing. And Katy's still a little bit fed up, so they all retreat back to Katy's bedroom, where Jorge discovers that she ripped up his dress for the thing, and Jorge gets extremely mad. But here's the thing, and I'm about to get a really poignant moment in a second. I understand Jorge's position, but at the end of the day, Katy has no real reason to actually hold herself to making him or dress. That's a favor. He's not paying her for it. She's doing it out of the kindness of her own heart. So first of all, Jorge, you need to calm down. And then Katy gets really fed up with Jorge's argument. That honestly, this is probably for now. I understand the show's still beginning, so there could be moments like this later down the line. I think Lucy Hall delivers the best performance of the show so far. where in her brief 1 minute like argumental rebuttal to Jorge, she brings up the fact that Jorge is, I don't know what word she uses to describe Jorge, but it's like you can easily go to your problems and get them solved because your mom's downstairs in the bodega. You could easily just go down there and just see your mom. Whereas for Katy's sakes, the sewing machine, it was legitimately one of her only remaining pieces of her mom left. Jorge destroyed it, and also the fact is that Jorge has an easy access to his mom. Katy doesn't. She doesn't have that. And the fact to make the matter work is that Jorge always knew that sewing machine meant a lot to them because there was a time period where Jorge's parents were not accepting of the whole of Jorge being gay. So he was not. I don't know. I forgot if he was kicked out of the house or he had to leave. I forgot which one it was. So that he stayed over with Katy and her mom for a while, and he always saw them using the sewing machine. So Jorge always knew about this, and he still did what he did. And again, the way Lucy helped demonstrate this performance, I felt it. I really felt it. Like, hands down, best performance. Again, she really delivered it. So this is, I think, the moment where, like, I don't know if Katy left already, or leaves, or they all dissipate and like to kind of calm down the situation, which I think they did. They did the latter. Because I think from there, Josie and Pepper have a side conversation about the whole leak thing. Pepper manages to contact a few favors. She found out that a certain anonymous source did it and not her. And Josie decides to use that information for another time. And then Katy and Jorge, I think they have an honest one-on-one where... Yeah, they have an honest one-on-one about the whole thing. They forgive each other. Katie's like, every single day I'm losing a piece of my mom. Like she's slowly fading away from my mind, and I don't want that to happen. Which I don't understand that whatsoever because I haven't lost any of my parents yet or my mom, and it's just. But it's still very emotional that she's going through that, and even though like I don't again they have. The thing is that I heard talking about Katy Keene is that as a show in general is that they're not harping on that too much. Like they bring it up once in a while. We know it happened. We saw the reference on Riverdale that it wasn't going so well, and now that in this timeline we know what happened. But it was still a little bit emotional, personally, that they went through it. And all the girls kind of like the Golden Girls are back together. They all are back and stronger than ever. They decide to sew the pieces that Katy needs all by hand. So. Things are going well. We cut to the next day. Katy presents this to Gloria. She likes it, but another designer came for last minute with another design that she's going to wear for the gala that evening. But she's like, I'm still impressed with you. You have focus. You have passion. There's potential here. I'll write you that letter of recommendation. And I think also at the same time, she brings in the sewing machine that her mom brought in, probably to get it fixed by a professional. But Francois brings up that this is a sewing machine that was used by a Lacey's employee decades ago. How did your mom get this if she didn't work here? So that brings another element of mystery. But before them, I think Pepper's alone. We don't really get to touch on her again. Josie talks to Alexander about the leak. To conveniently no surprise, Xandra was the one who leaked it. She probably uses an opportunity to like, oh, Josie knew of this information in the lab, so they're going to blame her immediately. So... Now they know it was Xandra, but she wasn't in this episode. I guess they couldn't afford Camilla Hyde. Who knows? Who knows? And as for Jorge, he brings up his mom to her bedroom and he demonstrates a ginger persona and reveals to her like his whole inspiration for the ginger persona was because of her. Because actually, the more I realize that the ginger persona during her outfits and his mom is actually very similar. So. Kudos to them. She's accepting of it. She's happy for him, and they embrace. And Katy heads back home. She finds a brand new, well, not brand new, but like Jorge and his mom actually went to their a family house, and they picked up an old sewing machine that his grandma used to have, and they brought it over here for Katy to use since she can't get it fixed right now, the current one. And Katy's sitting in her bedroom, in her bed. She looks at her sewing machine, kind of like, I don't know why she was like, got that curiosity moment to like kind of look underneath it, and there's a plaque. that says to Catherine, her mom's name, with love from LL. Who is LL? We don't know, because that's what the chapter ends. And thus begins the first big mystery of Katy Keene. Why am I not surprised? Here's the thing. I understand people hate it when people make comparisons when you make a show in an overall universe. I guess a lot of people say, "Oh, you keep comparing it to this show or that show." Or in this case, making comparisons to Riverdale or Sabrina is a little bit not necessary, because those guys are two separate shows. You shouldn't acknowledge them. You shouldn't care. You shouldn't connect. I'm like, first of all, they're in the same universe. So I'm like, here's the thing. I'm going to reference them. I'm going to talk about them. So guess what? Deal with it. Second of all, I'm only saying is that this is the world in this world we're living in the Riverdale verse. There's gonna be a lot of mysteries going on, both Riverdale, both Sabrina, and now Katy Keene. That's just the way the writer works, and it's the same writer the same person who's writing all these shows. So I'm not surprised here. Anywho, that was the end of the episode, the end of the chapter, and honestly, it was a pretty good one. It was a really good one. Again, Lucy Hale did a very powerful performance, and the rest of the cast did. This was definitely a boiling point that these friends that are still all dealing with their dynamics between each other had to go through and evolve their friendship going forward, and especially between Josie and Pepper and Jorge and Katy. Their relationships, their friendships have amped up and only made the Golden Girl stronger. And who is LL? Who knows? We'll find out eventually, because we'll probably figure out before the end of the first season. Is that Catherine's secret lover? Is that Catherine's secret lover? Is it a brother? Is it... I don't know. We don't know. LL, I can't let... What, Lex Luthor? Is Lex Luthor? We're about to connect the hero versions of this? Who knows? Trying to really figure out, what would LL stand for? I was instantly thinking about that when I saw the episodes. I can't think of it. And I think... Yeah, so we'll figure it out later. And overall, again, 2 thumbs up for my books. Really solid episode. And that's going to do it for me this week. So, if you were unaware, this was What's on the Tube from ActionX. If you want to know what's coming up overall on What's on the Tube, we do rookie episode reviews every Monday after a brand new episode on Sunday on ABC. We also do Nancy Drew episode reviews when they come out on the CW Wednesdays, and we post our reviews on Thursdays. But if you don't care about Katy Keene, we post our reviews usually Saturday after a new broadcast on Thursdays on the CW. And again, I apologize for this week. I've been a little slow today. I've been a little slow this week. I was on spring break for my school, so I was kind of a little on the spring break fever. I mean, technically in all my history, I never probably been on a proper spring break retreat. Probably never will, considering the fact I'm about to join the workforce soon. But anyway. Anywho, that was it for me, guys. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to see more What's on the Tube. If you want to also be up to date on new episode reviews, please ring the bell for notifications when we have that live. Like, favorite, share the video if you please. I don't know why I'm moving my head around that much. I guess because I have... Oh! Fuck! Yeah, I think I overshot that. Also, follow us on all the social media feeds. And I will see you Golden Girls next time on the next Katy Keene episode or review or chapter review. I contradict myself a lot. See you guys.